Thank you very much for you and the committee members' patience today. I know all these projects are worthy, and I have two that I'd like to bring your attention to. First of all, I'm here asking for your support for Senate File 747. That's seeking a $450,000 grant for City of St. Peter to reconstruct its pavilion. A short history is that the City of St. Peter has, right on 169, a pavilion built in 1934. Unfortunately, an F4 tornado through in 1999 rendered it somewhat structurally unsafe. And I have with me here today the City of St. Peter Administrator, Todd Prafke. I'll have Mr. Prafke do all the testimony. I'd just like to say to the committee that as you review all these worthy projects, please keep in mind this particular project had a 33-member task force. It is a $900,000 project in which they have reserved $450,000 already. With that, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Todd Prafke to testify.
Welcome to the committee. Senator, we are on 748. I know you'd like to be flying around somewhere in the 747, but we are on 748, Senator. So,
thank you, Madam Chair.
With that, Mr. Prafke, welcome to the committee, and please identify yourself for the tape.
Madam Chair and members, my name is Todd Prafke. I'm the City Administrator in St. Peter, and to bring you back down to earth, we want to talk about this location. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wanted to mention, I bet many of you have been by this location as you've driven through St. Peter on Highway 169, and you see as you're going south, you can look off to your right-hand side, and you can see really the iconic, historically significant pavilion. The pavilion is not only historically significant, but it's also culturally impactful, and it is a wonderful arts venue within our entire region. There are hundreds of events that go on at this location, a couple of which I'll mention include the Rock Bend Folk Festival, which has anywhere from 10 to 20,000, depending on the weather, in that second week of September that are there for music. Also, Ambassadors Blues Fest is located there, and over the 2 days of Ambassadors Blues Fest, there's between 5,000 and 10,000 people that come to that facility that are in that park that enjoy the arts and music and other opportunities that are there. Also, we celebrate 4th of July. There's a good old-fashioned 4th of July in St. Peter, and that too has about 10,000 people that participate at the park. And Memorial Day and other veterans events go on. In fact, right at the corner there of Highway 169 in College, there's going to be a new Veterans Memorial, which is all locally funded, that will start construction yet this summer. The age of the building, how it was built, it's built on top of a 1934 band shell, and that band shell didn't have any foundation. It was just, somebody will recognize this, it's just Casota stone laid on the ground, and it was built on top of that. And that's a major challenge for us. And another major challenge that we're hoping to address is making this facility wholly handicap accessible. It is not currently, and it needs to be, and it's a significant cost to make some of that happen. So from my perspective, we're really looking for a partnership with your committee, Madam Chair, and the members here in the state of Minnesota. We have resources, as the Senator mentioned, to put towards it. We're looking for a partnership on the project. Again, one that we believe is historically significant, culturally impactful, and again, a very big arts venue in the entire St. Peter, Greater Mankato region. And I'd stand for any questions that you might have, Madam Chair or members.
Thank you, Mr. Prafke and Senator. Members, are there any questions? Senator Eaton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank Senator Frentz for bringing this forward. I essentially grew up in this park, and I've been to the Rock Bend many times. We had reunions there, Veterans Day exhibits.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is.
It's very cool.
And 4th of July, it's just like a Norman Rockwell painting. I mean, it's...
Yeah, it is Americana.
I bring my kids down there on the 4th. So it is a community place. It's a place where the community gets together, and people like me who've moved away come back, and you get to see people you haven't seen forever. So it's a very valuable venue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Eaton. Members, is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Senate File 748 will be laid over for possible inclusion in the Omnibus Legacy Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Frentz, Senate File 999.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members. Continuing on, I'm asking for you to consider and support Senate File 999. Senate File 999 seeks $400,000 from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund for the Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota. I was impressed by the quality of projects that you've listened to today, and I realize you've listened to a few. Please take a moment to consider this jewel of Southern Minnesota. The Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota Now at its permanent location, originally estimated 40,000 visitors in its first year. It welcomed over 100,000. And I have testifiers here who will share with you a little bit about the museum. Madam Chair, I'd just like to call attention to the emphasis on some of the exhibits on agriculture and science and engineering. We're talking about creating the next generation of students that will be enhanced, and the Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota is a great example. On my left, I'm proud to welcome Deb Johnson from the Children's Museum, and on the right, Sue Larson. And with that, I'd ask them to fill in the blanks. I believe Deb has a video of about 90 seconds.
Thank you. Who wants to go first?
I will. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I am Deb Johnson, Director of Education, as Senator Frentz mentioned. We'd like to offer a very sincere thank you to the committee for past support from the Legacy Fund. Arts and cultural heritage funding has been a critical part of our success and development, allowing us to serve families and children. We've incorporated in 2006 by early childhood professionals. Our museum has been thoughtful and deliberate in our development. It has taken us 10 years, but we're there. We've been at 3 interim sites, evaluating and learning at every turn, prototyping exhibits, piloting programs, prototyping fruits and vegetables as you see in front here, all the while raising $5.5 million in capital support, collecting data and partnering with businesses in our region. We've recently opened our permanent site. We expected 40,000 visitors our first year. We ended up welcoming 100,000. They've had the opportunity to explore and experience the arts, culture, and heritage of Minnesota. On the back of this handout, you'll see a map, and that map shows the region for which we're serving. 69 of 87 counties of that 100,000 people. It's a huge geographic area from which we draw. Again, we have established ourselves as an important regional resource. I'm going to invite you to watch this 90-second video to see what we have developed. We're not sure if we'll have sound. Imagine very delightful sound as you see the children playing.
I'm sorry, I don't know why there's no sound.
Again, you'll get a sense of the experience we've created. The Trio Forts Climber, the infant toddler play porch based on Betsy Tacy, a birth to 3 at-risk group that we had in, our farmyard, 10,000 square feet of outdoor space with live animals. Ag education is very important, of course, to our region and our museum. Dakota heritage and culture are represented. STEM learning. Dakota culture again. More STEM learning. The arts represented. So it gives you a sense of what we created in our space. We're seeking $400,000 over the biennium to build upon initiatives with previous legacy funding to increase access and engagement for diverse audiences. I invite my colleague to share some details.
Hello, Madam Chair and committee members. Thank you for this opportunity today. My name is Sue Larson. I serve as Community Outreach and Impact Director at the Children's Museum. As Deb mentioned, we're seeking $400,000 in support. Specifically, we propose to use this support to do 4 things. 1, increase access for school and early learning groups. 2, grow as a regional resource by taking the museum outside of our walls to outstate audiences. 3, improve our exhibit experiences. And 4, incorporate robust evaluation strategies. I refer you to this handout entitled Engaging Young Learners. You will notice in 2016, 151 school and early learning groups made the Children's Museum a popular field trip destination. These groups represented 18 Minnesota counties, and there's a map that shows where these school groups came from. Nearly half of these visitors came from counties where 40% or more of the student population receives free or reduced lunch. So clearly, there are high needs in our region. Another area we would like to address is getting out to rural communities and engaging with people in their neighborhoods, their communities, and schools. This would greatly serve to enhance opportunities to increase arts and cultural heritage access and engagement of new and diverse audiences. Museum a la carte is a menu of learning that we want to develop. STEM kits could be facilitated with first grade classrooms located in Casson. Exhibit components on ag education could go to the Nicollet County Fair. Tabletop teepee building kits could be shared during the Mankato powwow. Or creative drama experiences could be provided as a pop-up program at a trailer park in Fairmont.
What does arts and cultural learning look like at our museum? This explorer's guide here that's in your packet is one example and an educational tool we've developed to call attention to several of the arts and cultural heritage features of our museum. From the greetings spoken by Dakota children in the Dakota language that welcome all of our visitors at our museum entrance, to the Tree of Forts climber, which is designed and built by Minnesota artisans, craftsmen, and women, to the myriad of public art pieces in our building in our museum. We offer an immersive experience in Minnesota arts and cultural heritage. Exhibit development and remediation is an ongoing goal at our newly opened site.
Thank you. Members, are there questions on Senate File 999? Any questions? All right. Thank you for your testimony today. Seeing no further discussion, Senate File 999 is laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You guys can stay up here.
All right, and then you have Senate File 1022.
And Senate File 1800 in any order you wish, Madam Chair.
1022 would be great.
All right, thank you very much. Having heard the gist of the Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota, Senate File 1022 seeks $200,000 from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund for finishing the Niwakoni water exhibit. As you know, the purpose of the Clean Water Legacy Act is to protect, enhance, and preserve water quality, and legacy funding is sought through Senate File 1800 and Senate File 1022. One through the Clean Water Fund and one through Arts and Cultural Heritage. In 1022, the same things apply that you just heard, the same reasons for wanting your support. I have a card here written by a parent who brought their child to the museum, and I'd just like to read it, Madam Chair. She says, I was shown the Children's Museum by my TAP teachers, or son. I was shown the Children's Museum by my TAP teacher at Central Highlands. That's our alternative school in Mankato. My son had the most fun I've ever seen him have. It's a very good way to expose him to other children, and he is fascinated by every little thing at the museum. It's a safe place to learn and play. I could read you all the cards Miss Larson brought here. As you can see, there are dozens, but I think that captures the spirit of the museum, and I think in 1022, what we're asking is $200,000 for finishing the water exhibit. I'd like to have Miss Larson say a bit about the water exhibit.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Miss Johnson.
Ms. Johnson.
Johnson, Larson, Nelson,
Olson,
Anderson.
Peterson, Anderson.
Madam Chair and committee members, again, as Senator Nix mentioned, Senator Frentz mentioned, it is a sensory water table based on the values of the Dakota people around water, called Mini-Wachoni, Water is Life. From the inception of our museum, we've been intentional about developing a thread of Dakota culture and heritage throughout our museum. From the outdoor Three Sisters Garden with seeds passed down by the Dreams of Wild Health, an organization that helps us with genetically pure seeds passed on to them from a Dakota elder, inside to a winter count display on the back of a buffalo hide, to the textile art and the mural where we have a woman hand-pollinating squash seeds. These are all indications of the Dakota culture and heritage that we hope to have as a thread throughout our museum. We had the foresight when we were remodeling our mass transit building into a children's museum to install floor drains, a below-grade mechanical room to house a sump pump, dedicated water purification systems and sewer lines in anticipation of this future water play exhibit. But more important than the things we've installed in our museum are the relationships we've built with our Dakota consultants. In our most recent MHS grant, we hosted several listening sessions with our Dakota advisors. This led to a conceptual design for our water play table based on Dakota values around water. Currently, we've engaged with 3 new Dakota consultants, and again, we are listening. We're seeking partnerships with the Midwakaton Sioux community currently, family foundations, and private sponsors to make up the remaining needs to fulfill the goals with this exhibit. Your support will help us get part of the way there and leverage that support. We thank you and ask for any questions.
Thank you, members. Are there any questions on Senate File 1022? So, Senator Frentz, can you tell me the difference here between what you're trying to accomplish in 1022 and 1800?
Yes, Madam Chair. 1022 seeks $200,000 from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Senate File 1800 is seeking it from the Clean Water Fund.
So 1800 really doesn't have anything to do with water other than it's an exhibit for the Children's Museum that deals with water.
Well, as you know, Madam Chair, occasional past legacy grants for the University of Minnesota and for MPCA have allowed education as recognized under the Clean Water Fund. I reviewed some of those education grants this morning, and I feel this one would be consistent with the request in Senate File 1800.